The Philadelphia Eagles made off like bandits on draft weekend. Let's talk about who they brought in, right? You guys can see at the bottom here, we have a ticker going on. You guys can see all the draft picks that they accumulated, all the guys they brought in throughout the 3 days of the draft. And we're going to even get into the undrafted guys they brought in, right? And we're going to break it down and we're going to evaluate those guys together. So let's get right into it. Let's start out with first round pick, Quinyon Mitchell. Now, bringing in Quinyon Mitchell was a shocker because we knew if we wanted to bring in a legitimate corner from this draft, we were going to have to trade up for him. That was the mindset, right? We told ourselves, if we want one of these guys, we're going to have to trade up. And lo and behold, the way the draft fell, that didn't actually have to happen at all. The Philadelphia Eagles actually were able to stay put. They were able to stand pat. And the player that they wanted fell right to them in Quinyon Mitchell. Now, if you ask me, Quinyon Mitchell, he's going to be a day one starter. It's no question about it. When you draft a guy that high at pick 22, first round, at corner, and he was the number one corner on mostly everyone's draft board, best believe you got to play that guy day one. There's not going to be any warming up or grooming period. All that's going to be done in training camp in the preseason. Quinyon Mitchell, I hope you're ready to play, my man, because a lot of people have been down on you. Not me, but a lot of people have been down on Quinyon Mitchell because of the conference he played in, coming out of Toledo, a smaller school. Now, granted, it was still in the FBS. He was still going up against FBS level competition. He wasn't in the FCS, right? He was competing, right? He matched up with Marvin Harrison, had a great game against him. So, like I said, even though Quinyon Mitchell came from a smaller program, came from a program that wasn't as revered as those Power 5 conferences, you got to give credit where credit is due because the eyes don't lie. The evaluations don't lie. A player of that caliber, the athleticism, the physicality he has at the line of scrimmage, the physicality he has at the catch point, the strong hands, the quick feet, the fluid movement in the hips, the instincts. That brother could have went to any school. Full ride. Quinyon Mitchell didn't have to stay at Toledo, but he decided to stay there because that's where the loyalty was. Those were the relationships that he nurtured and cultivated. He could have easily went to Alabama. You heard Nick Saban say it. He was the number one player they were targeting in the transfer portal. And Quinyon Mitchell didn't even fix his clicker to go into the transfer portal. He stayed. He stayed at Toledo because those were the people that believed in him. Those were the people that didn't abandon him when he struggled coming out of high school. Because of his grades, he had to wait a little bit. A lot of teams backed off of him. Toledo stayed the course, and he became the player he was at Toledo, and he became a first-round pick out of Toledo. As a matter of fact, he became the number one cornerback prospect despite playing in the MAC conference, despite playing at Toledo. So you got to give credit where credit is due. That's the kind of stuff that transcends the white lines. You know, with Nil popping these days, you know he was getting bags thrown at him left and right. You know he was. But you know what he said to John Clark? Shout out to him for getting this out of him via NBC Sports. He said this to John Clark. Relationships mean a lot more to me than money. The people that believed in me from the beginning mean a lot more to me than money. That's going to come. And I'm paraphrasing, of course. The money will come. But relationships, your network, that's foundational. Money comes, money goes. But when you when you do right by people, when you put your best foot forward and people can trust you, oh yeah, networks, relationships, they stand the test of time. That's invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that. You can't put a price tag on somebody who put the battery in your back and believed in you. You can't do it. So I commend Quinyon Mitchell for staying the course at Toledo. And again, personality aside, character aside, from top to bottom, he was a clean prospect, top to bottom. Did well at the combines. He excelled at the combines, ran a 4.33 40 time. Went crazy at the bench press. Had a really good 10-yard split. He showed out at the Senior Bowl, aced all the drills. From top to bottom, he was a clean prospect. And then you throw in the character, oh man, it's perfect. But his school, the conference he played in, how will he fare against NFL level competition? He didn't play against that many guys in the SEC, if at all. So how will he fare against NFL level competition? I think he'll be fine. Now, I'm not saying he will be this player. I'm not saying this is who he is, but I'm saying Sauce Gardner played in Cincinnati. And he didn't play in the SEC, which is the closest you'll get to NFL level competition. So I say that to say, don't let your eyes fool you. Don't let the school and all the theatrics around it, don't let that fool you. What do your eyes tell you? Chad Ochocinco, he got eyes. He played the wide receiver position. He know what a good corner looks like. Shannon Sharp, Hall of Fame tight end. They know what good corners look like. Top to bottom, clean prospect, smooth in and out of his breaks. Footwork, tremendous. Knows where to go. Patient. So I think he's gonna be a hell of a player for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to spend too much time on Quinyon Mitchell because we talked about him a lot over the weekend. You know, as we get deeper into the live stream, we're going to get more entrenched in the later draft picks. But Quinyon Mitchell, you got to start the show with him. Number one draft pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. Got to give credit where credit is due to Howie Roseman for staying the course, not overreacting to the draft board, not reaching, and he fell on your lap. So shout out to Howie Roseman. Shout out to the front office for staying patient, staying the course, and allowing your prospect to come to you, because if it was meant, it was meant. And the football gods had it where it was so. Now, as far as his time on the field, how will that look? I think James Bradberry, that's done. I think James Bradberry will be cut by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's a foregone conclusion. You don't draft a guy like that and Quinyon Mitchell and say, we're going to have you sit or we're going to put you in the slot. Hell no. Your whole plan is to move on from James. I'm pretty sure James is already getting his affairs in order. I don't mean no disrespect. But like my man S. Blunt said, Quinyon Mitchell got next. Hey, throw me the rock, OG. Throw me the rock. It's just that simple.